Hello. I'm so excited to be joining you today because I get to talk about one of the most important and critical parts of your business and ways to help improve the performance of your business. Um, Based on the attendance we have today, I see this as a topic that's near and dear to a lot of people's hearts in the subscription business. So thank you very much for joining us today. By way of introduction, my name is Steve Aronsoff, and I am the Senior Vice President of Marketing here at FlexPay. And we're going to talk about one of the key drivers of that drives performance of your business. So Peter Drucker once famously said that if you can't measure a factor, you can't manage it. And what we're going to do today is talk about the true costs of one of the biggest drivers of customer churn for your business, why understanding that value is so important, and how to calculate that measure for your own business, and then talk about options for how to reduce the costs, because reducing the impact of churn will drive accelerated growth and profitability for your business. So let's review the basic drivers that drive subscription growth revenue. So of course, we have revenue from existing customers, and we add on new customers through growth and all the investments and programs we use to drive growth. And then of course, customer churn or lost customers will bring down revenue. And every subscription business wants to have healthy growth. We want to see that growth rate ticking up to the right, which is driven by a healthy customer retention rate, and then adding happy new subscribers to your business, while subscriber churn brings down revenue from the lost revenue that comes from churn. But what if you can increase all of your active accounts by 15% or more, annual revenue by 20% or more, without having to spend any additional dollars on customer acquisition? Of course, that sounds great and almost too good to be true, but this is possible. But the key to unlocking this kind of improvement in your business performance is really driven by understanding the economics that drive your acceleration of growth most efficiently. Of course, there is acquisition costs, right? You bring new customers often. The cost of acquisition for subscription businesses is typically 4, 5, 6, 7 months of billings, so it's reasonably expensive. And we also have churn reduction, or reducing the rate of customers that leave your business, or increase retention, and the cost of reducing that is the other factor. So let's talk about churn at a much deeper level. The most common drivers of customer churn are pretty well understood, and these are probably areas where you focus your business, try to improve them. Of course, customers get tired and they will cancel subscriptions because they no longer have a need for the product or service. Sometimes there are losses to competitors where the customer finds another option they like better, and so they'll leave your business. And then lastly, they may have an issue with their business or a bad brand experience that caused them to cancel their subscription. These are all often for many subscription companies understood and well managed. But there is another cause of churn, a fourth cause, that because it's not well understood is usually not managed well. And this is driven by the fact that every month when your customers are being recharged on their credit card, there are high rates of errors or false declines where the credit card authorization system is making a decline decision based on factors they find that increase their risk of fraud, or identifying risk of fraud, but in fact is a legitimate customer trying to make that purchase. These failed payments can create up to 48% of all of your customer churn. And this is an enormous number because it's so large and causes such a pain for your business. We're going to dive into this at a much deeper level and help you understand why these failed payments are occurring and help you understand what impact it has on your business. So let's go into the causes of failed payments. The banks that issue credit cards to consumers today are incurring, just in North America alone, over $30 billion in losses on fraud. These are losses where they approve transactions that turn out to be fraudulent. And the banks, in order to try to reduce these fraud losses, have really worked to try to shift the liability of the risk to you, the merchant or the subscription company. And the way they're doing that is they're adjusting their fraud algorithms, the authorization decision algorithms, to look for factors of fraud and overcompensating. And as a result of that, they are declining large numbers of legitimate transactions where the customer wants to buy the product, they have credit to be able to make the purchase, and the credit decisions are still being declined. So this $30 billion in bank losses now translated into over $450 billion in lost revenue globally in merchants every year. And these are systemic problems in the payments industry that are not well understood, but for the subscription industry, the biggest impact within subscription is felt. In fact, the rate of declined payments on subscription payments is almost 24%, or 1 in 4. So you can see that this is a big, big negative pain point for your business. Now, there are two types of churn that are created by failed payments. The obvious type of churn is when there is a declined payment by the bank that's made on one of your customers' credit card requests, and it's unrecovered. And of course, that will end the subscription because there's no payment being made. The other type of churn is where the customer becomes aware of the failed payment, and because of that awareness, they actively end their subscription. And this indirect cause may not well be understood, but let's dive into why this occurs. So I think we all feel whenever there's a declined credit card, we always have an emotional reaction to that decline notice, right? We feel like I'm good, I have good credit, I have credit to buy that product. Why are you declining my credit card? So that's a negative experience. Often when a company reaches out to a customer and says, we had a failed payment, I need your help, you're forcing that customer to solve a problem they didn't create, and so they have a negative experience with your brand because it only happened with you. And so what that means is your brand becomes associated with credit card issues because that customer is most likely not experiencing those problems with many other businesses. And probably the most painful and impactful impact of these decline decisions when the customer is involved is you're asking the customer through your outreach, whether it's through customer service, whether you're sending emails or text messages trying to ask them to help you solve the problem, is that you're forcing the customer to make a decision if they want to continue with you or not. And often it's very easy to say, I'm not sure I'm getting enough value, so I'm just going to stop. I'm going to indirectly cause, or I'm going to passively not give you new information for a credit card. And so that forces the churn. So what that means is we really want to avoid customer visibility to a failed payment. So the two critical insights I really want you to walk away with today is, one, and these are so important, the true cost of an unrecovered failed payment is not just the 1 month of lost revenue, but because the failed payment causes churn, the full cost of a failed payment is all the future payments that customer would have made. So the full value of the lost customer, that's number one. And number two, the failed payment recovery methods that can avoid customer awareness or customer involvement in the recovery process will lead to longer life cycles and higher customer value or lifetime value following recovery because of the fact that they're not creating that indirect churn. Really two important concepts I hope you understand and are clear to you. So now that we have this baseline of understanding about what causes failed payments and ways to think about how to recover, we can start to dive into calculating what the true cost of a failed payment really is. So we can use the customer lifetime value equation to calculate the individual costs. So the cost of a failed payment for you, for one customer, is the monthly billing amount of what the customer is paying you times the number of lost billing cycles that are going to be eliminated as a result of the failed payment. The calculation is pretty easy, right? So let's use an example where the customer is paying you $49.99 a month. And as a result of lost payment, we're going to lose 7 missed billing cycles. And so, again, the total cost of this customer is not just the $49 or almost $50 in 1 month, but almost $350 as a result of the lost revenue that it's not going to be delivered to your business over time. Conversely, we can look at the opposite way of approaching this, where we say, we now can calculate the cost of a lost customer, but wouldn't it be great to be able to calculate the true value of a customer recovered after a failed payment? And this is where this process starts to become really interesting because it gives us really key insights into both how much we want to invest and where we want to invest dollars to be able to drive recovered customers and to be able to drive those growth accelerators for your business. So very similar equation. We can still use the lifetime value equation to be able to calculate. So we have our monthly billing amount, and we have the quantity recovered of billing cycles. Now, we may have a small cost of recovery that we want to factor out, but using the same numbers as before, we have an average billing amount of $49.99, 7 missed billing cycles, times, and we're going to take away $15 on average recovery, which actually gives us a return value of revenue that would have been lost otherwise of almost $335. Now, it should be immediately obvious that when customers that are lost to failed payments can be recovered, there's enormous amounts of revenue that's unlocked in future payments. The other key insight is that the ROI of this recovery is incredibly high. In fact, you think about what the ROI of an acquired customer is versus the ROI of recovered customer, the ROI of recovered customer is massively more profitable for you as a business. So when we talk about how important it is and how vital it is to recover customers and to recover customers in a way that maximizes the duration of their life cycle after recovery, this ROI metric for almost 100% becomes really clear on why this is so critical for growth and profitability. Now, these simple equations allow us to calculate the value, the cost of a failed payment, or the value of a recovered customer for a single customer. Now, if we want to look at this and measure this for our entire business, the data you want to bring into the equation is you want to look at how many active customers you have that are currently working with you. What is the average billing amount that they make on a billing cycle? What is your new sales growth rate? What is your failed payment rate? I urge you, if you don't know this value, to calculate this. Go ask your accounting, your payments team, how many payments are being declined on a monthly basis, because that's a really important metric for you to understand for your business. And then lastly, what is the average length of customer lifecycle overall? Now, in order to make this easy for you, we have created a calculator where you can input these same numbers and we'll give you back values and forecasts for your business of how much revenue can be recovered as a result of a failed payment, best practice failed payment rate. So the link at the top is on the FlexPay.io website. It's also on the homepage, but this page will take you directly to the recovery calculator and you can input these values for yourself. So in this example, we have a company with 10,000 active accounts. The average monthly billing amount is $49. And we've used assumptions that the company is growing at a rate of 24% a month, but they're experiencing a 21% failed payment rate. They are using an in-house recovery method that's delivering them a 15% recovery on that 21%. And then lastly, the average length of the customer life cycle is 8 months. And so the calculator will provide back to you a forecast. It will both calculate, if you're using an in-house recovery method, how much additional revenue you're likely recovering as a result of the future payments that are recovered. It'll also calculate how much additional revenue the FlexPay Invisible Recovery solution is able to deliver. So in this example, with these assumptions, we can see not only is that FlexPay delivering over $2 million of additional revenue compared to a company with no solution, but even if their in-house recovery solution is in place, an extra over $1 million, but the growth rate of the company is actually accelerated as a result of this. We're seeing that the growth rate of the company, and I think this is such a critical factor that for the ROI on this and the amount of revenue that's being driven to the business, there's almost no other investment a subscription company can make that can deliver this kind of key business improvements. And not surprisingly, when we see that the revenue is increasing, we can also see that the quantity of customers that are active after 12 months have also increased at a substantial rate. Again, there's very few programs you can invest in, even on the acquisition side, that can deliver that kind of active customer growth rate. So this is why we say the impact of improving the recovery of customers lost to failed payments is the single biggest driver to improving your company's financial health and growth rate that's possible. To give you an example with one of our customers, and this is a real world example for 2021 results, one of our customers is in the business services space. They have over 41,000 customers, and we were able to recover over $8 million in revenue for them just in last year alone. So the amount of dollars that we're able to recover for businesses is incredibly substantial, incredibly meaningful. So I've introduced the idea of the FlexPay Invisible Recovery solution. To give you a quick brief on what it is, it's an AI-powered solution that's unique in a couple different ways. The algorithms in this solution are informed by over 4 decades of payments industry experience collected within the FlexPay team. This insight and this information about how the industry works is vital for programming the nuances within optimizing recovery. For example, there are over 8,000 issuing banks in North America alone that all use individualized authorization rules. There are different card types like gold cards and premium cards and rewards cards, all have different authorization factors on them. And all these different permutations go into our program, into our system to be able to optimize how to accomplish the best recovery for each individual transaction. Our AI was trained in over 5 billion payment transaction records, which give an enormous number of training sample to be able to optimize the results. And the result of all this is that every single transaction that we work with that has been declined has a unique strategy created individually for that in order to optimize the approval process. And probably most importantly, because our system works quickly and because customer involvement is not required in recovering these payments, we completely eliminate the churn that is indirectly caused by the customer visibility to the failed payment. So not only do we recover a very high rate of failed payments, we also avoid all the churn that's created as a result of customer visibility to the failed payment. So invisible recovery will optimize recovery rates, as I said, and what that means in real world results is often invisible recovery. If a company, if like yourself, does not have a failed payment recovery solution in place, we suggest you get one. Even if you have one in place, our average recovery rate is 70% higher than companies have in place previously. So again, we're more effective in recovering failed transactions. And on top of that, the customers recover last longer, on average of 45% more billing cycles after the recovery. So there's an acceleration both of revenue, both from recovering more customers and having them last longer. What this means is that the ROI from invisible recovery most often averages over 75%. So again, there's almost no other investment that you can make that will deliver that kind of ROI in your business. So I've taken you through the calculations for how to calculate failed payments. I've given the explanation of why it's so important to understand the economics and the metrics behind this. The failed payment is a direct driver of churn, the impact it has on both single month revenue, but most importantly, the eliminated future payments from those customers means that the problem is an enormous one. It is critically important for you to solve. There's probably nothing more mission critical for you than dealing with this problem. And conversely, if you solve this problem, there's nothing more that will provide better increased performance for your business. So what we really ask you to do as next step is recognize, be honest and recognize that almost half of your churn is being caused by payment issues, and measure what the true cost of your business actually is. And once you do that and calculate the estimated value, that really leads into a proper prioritized strategy to solve the churn and to reduce the failed payment rates. And lastly, of course, you can speak with experts in the space like FlexPay that can help you understand your metrics and talk to you about a solution that will help you solve this problem. So thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Obviously, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A box, or you can follow up with us at marketing@flexpay.io. And again, we encourage you, regardless of whether you speak with FlexPay or not, if you're in the subscription business, it is absolutely vital for you to measure your failed payment rate, calculate the cost of what is harming your business on, and then work to develop a solution, because the benefits for you are going to be profound. Thank you very much.